So Apple is finally being forced to sell their iPhones with a USB-C. That's great. I mean, honestly, there's good and bad to it. The good is that basically, no matter where you are, you'll be able to find a cord that's going to charge your phone. The bad news, which probably for Apple, in some weird way, it's probably going to make it easier for people to like jailbreak it, or is that's their explanation that like, oh, when we do things our way, it makes it better for everyone in our ecosystem, and I can understand to a degree. However, here's the problem, right? Is that this is only happening in the EU. There's nothing is forcing them to do this everywhere else. So odds are they're just gonna just sell their iPhones with the USB-C port in the EU, and that's it. And you might think, oh, why would they do that? They want to just sell it everywhere. Well, for example, recently in Brazil, they were forced to not only bring back the charging cable, but were fined because they took out the charging cable for the last couple of iPhones. So they got fined for that. So now in Brazil, they're like, okay, we'll just include the cable in Brazil and Brazil only. So here with the EU, now they're hands forced. They're like, now we have to comply. That's what they admitted. They have no choice in the matter. What did they say here? Obviously, we'll have to comply. We'll have no choice, or we have no choice, as we do around the world, to comply with local laws. But we think the approach would have been better environmentally and better for our customers to not have a government be that prescriptive. I can to a degree understand that sentiment that they don't like being squeezed by the government in terms of how they do their business. But the whole the environmental aspect, I don't buy for a second. I don't think it was causing that much e-waste when they had the charging brick, the charging brick originally in the packaging. So like they're like, oh, less e-waste. I just don't see that. I really don't buy that. I think it was just for them to cut corners, which again, the worst charging bricks known to man. I can't imagine were really that costly in the first place to produce. So now by 2024, in the EU anyway, all electronic devices have to use USB-C ports by 2024. That's just great. I mean, good for them. Usually, not a huge fan of the government stepping in this way. However, when it comes to technology, USB-C is basically the ultimate port system that's universal, and there's no need to change it up. Apple's gonna, get hurt in the wallet somewhat because they clearly make I'm not sure about commission, but they get, some kind of kickback from third parties selling Lightning cables. So they're probably pissed off about that. Even though, what the iPad, even the Mac, they use USB-Cs, but iPhone's obviously their best seller, so that was like the last bastion for them. Like, oh no, but now we have to do it, but only in the EU. So I don't know, like. I think it's good for probably everyone at this point that the country has that. I wish the U.S. would follow suit, especially like the EU did with a universal charging port for cars. For some reason, the U.S. dropped the ball hard on that one, and now we have like 5 different possible, not even outlets, just I guess car chargers because of like EVs and all the other brands that you're forced into to charge at what are they called? Electric stations? I don't know what to call them. I don't have an electric car. But the point is that we need to get together, make some laws about having this universal porting charging system for cars and electronics. Apple's finally forced. I'm sure Android's rejoicing because they're like, oh yeah, Apple has to follow the rules that we're already following. I mean, to them they didn't need a lightning cord, so. To them, it probably didn't matter at all. But for Apple, this is gonna suck for them, and they are just gonna have to deal with it. But honestly, this is a very pro-consumer move by the EU. I don't really see any downsides. Again, Apple likes to think that this is gonna somehow impact e-wastes on their end because everyone's gonna throw away their lightning cables, which is a really, really outdated idea because literally all iPhones up until, I guess now 2023, are going to have a lightning port. So you're going to need a lightning cable. A lot of people are still going to have old phones. Not everyone upgrades to the newest phone. And then people who do upgrade to the newest phone, then they're going to have a lightning cable for it. Or not lightning, a USB-C cable. So, I guess they're going to start losing money in that aspect. But considering how much of an upcharge they've been adding to the iPhones in recent years, I don't have any sympathy for them, especially, well, not especially, but simply, I'm basically an Apple fanboy, and I can disagree with a lot of their stuff. And this is one of them. USB-C has been a long time coming. I, in fact, almost didn't upgrade because I was waiting for a USB-C because I think it's dumb that it hasn't happened yet. Everything, it's literally the ultimate, you know, solution to charging and data transfer. So Apple, you know, okay. Actually, here's another issue though. There's been talks. There's been talks that Apple might not even have a port on the iPhone, which would kind of skirt around this law, and which would just mean wireless charging. And I don't really know how they're going to get away with that. Purely because how are they going to be able to transfer data for like new devices, right? I mean, usually it has to do with like plugging in the phone to make it happen. Usually updates require you to be plugged in. Yeah, I mean, you just put on the wireless charger. Wireless chargers, unless you have a super fast wireless chargers, you know, it's going to be a slower process. I mean, don't get me wrong. Actually, majority use my wireless charger because it's MagSafe, so it just clicks on. It's really handy. But like for example, CarPlay. I mean, you're basically then just you'd be forced into just wireless CarPlay, which is worse. It's just worse. There's no going around that. I mean, when there's wireless, there's always going to be some kind of delay, and it's just going to piss me off, and I'm not okay with that. I've driven a friend's car where it had Bluetooth, not CarPlay, and it's like next song, 2 seconds, plays. I'm just like, I was going nuts. I know newer cars have wireless CarPlay built in and wireless chargers in the kind of in the bottom. But, not everyone can afford those fancy cars. Sounds great, though, but I'm always going to go for a wired connection in most cases, at least when it comes to CarPlay, because it's just better. Like, music quality drops when you use wireless. Unless they had it so the wireless CarPlay radios are using the proprietary... I don't even know what they're called, but just the proprietary system that Apple uses to communicate with iPhones and other Apple products. If that was the case, then I guess the delay would be as minimal as possible. But I would imagine that's up to the person or the country that made the radio. How that's implemented would be kind of weird. I'm assuming that normal CarPlay wireless is just Bluetooth. I can't imagine it's using like Apple's special system for it. I just can't. I could be wrong. Someone tell me in the comments, I guess, but I really don't think that's the case. But we might just be heading towards a cordless Apple phone future, because this is going to be the start. The U.S. and I'm just going to talk about the U.S. because that's where I live. They're always going to be far behind. For some reason, they just can't seem to get. We seem so far in terms of laws. We're behind in laws in terms of technology. It's dumbfounding. And, I doubt we'll get to this point in the near future where we want just one, charging system. It'd be great, though. And but then it's going to, at some point, Apple's like, you know what? we'll just go wireless. We'll go wireless then. No one can have those profits of the cords that we use. No one. So we're just going to go wireless. Which, again, actually, I think at that point, right, if they went full wireless, I'd assume the new MacBooks would have like a wireless charger in the corner, but that'd be big enough for it. The MacBooks to just put your iPhone down and have it charge there, but it'd be kind of an inconvenience, and also would not work on the MacBook Air because it's just not enough space whatsoever. And then the issue, right, is that some people still have iPhones but then have PCs where they do back it up. How would you do that if you have a wireless iPhone? Would they just say, oh, you have to do a iCloud backup, like a full one? That would suck. So there's pros and cons to this. I would argue mostly pros, but by the end of it, it's going to be cons. Well, possibly cons, depending on how Apple wants to go about it. Also, if they just remove the port, then if they don't reduce the price in any matter, I'm going to be pissed off. That's a little ridiculous. The aux port, a little different. I'm fine with the aux. I like the AirPods, the wireless. Big brain. I think they just did it to sell that product in the future or whenever it released. But for this, if there's no port, then they'd have to go full wireless, and it just would not be a fun time for basically anyone. So either way, let me know what you think. What do you like? Do you want this to happen to everywhere? You know, is it not really good for consumers if there's only one charging, universal charging? Do you think it's going to go into a future where, we're just wirelessly charging everything? Because it possibly easily could. I just don't know how they're going to solve the data transfer issue, unless I guess if the computer has Bluetooth. Then I think about it. Because I mean, if you just have Bluetooth connected into your PC, which you just get as a dongle for a USB port, then I don't think it'd be an issue. It just would be probably slower than a manual transfer. But I digress. Hope you enjoyed this episode. This is just me talking about tech stuff that I like to enjoy as a segment. And just tell me what you think about what I said. How it going, guys?
You bastard! I can't do this! This is perfect. I was just getting hungry. I'm going to...